Welcome back, friends. Cautions. Yes, we have to talk about cautions. So, when speaking about a new pope, it is easy to slide into extremes. Some voices rush to canonize him as a saint after his first gesture. Others condemn him after a single misstep. Catholic influencers often feed this pattern because controversy and strong rhetoric draw attention. Journalists, too, thrive on dramatic narratives. But as friends walking together in faith, we must be cautious. Holiness cannot be reduced to headlines, and a pontificate cannot be judged by slogans. The Catholic Church is truly universal, and with that universality comes real diversity and theological emphasis. Some place weight on social engagement, others on doctrinal clarity, others on liturgy and tradition. These emphases are not always in harmony, and at times they clash openly. It is part of the Pope's role to hold this diversity together without diluting the deposit of faith, and that is no small task.
Right.
Recent months, like I said, we're not going to gloss things. Recent months have revealed this tension. Some faithful have expressed deep disappointment that the groups with a lot of letters beginning with L were received with warmth at audiences in Rome. Others have been unsettled that Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez is still prefect of the dicastery of the doctrine of the faith, and to some, this seems like signals of accommodation or weakness. To others, they're seen as gestures of inclusion or patience. And we got to put one more thing. He had an off-the-cuff remark not too long ago where he was equating the death penalty and abortion on a plane. And so the issue there that I feel, I'm back to doctrinal, others it's liturgy, and it's not like it's either or, but for me, what that I heard was seamless garment. This seamless garment, and boy, was it rife in Chicago. Bernadine, Bernadine, I think so, he had something to do with that little idea. So we're not glossing the. And I think that we know that early, and here's the grace for me, that I know this early enough is that I do take Leo to prayer. I prayed for the last guy. I prayed for the last guy, but I really do pray for him because that theology is going to serve him. It's not going to serve the church, in my opinion. So, excuse me. So we must remember that the Pope is not a partisan leader trying to satisfy a voting bloc. His vocation is to be the visible sign of the unity for the Church entrusted with handing on what he has received. He does not originate truth. Christ is the source, and the magisterium is his sure interpreter. Prudential governance is part of this. A pope may choose to adjust problems quickly or slowly. He may tolerate certain figures in office for a time, even when their presence troubles many. These choices belong to prudence, and prudence does not always look neat in real time. St. Augustine wrote, "Patience is the companion of wisdom." We may still have personal markers that help us discern. For me, and we talked about heresy and truth and that sort of thing. Reflection. As friends, we are invited to hold both realism and charity. Realism tells us not to gloss over difficulties or pretend controversies do not exist. Charity warns us not to fixate on them in a way that blinds us to the greater picture. Pope Leo XIV's task is immense. He will not satisfy every faction, nor is that his calling. It's not his calling. His role is to be shepherd, teacher, and servant of the truth, ensuring that the church walks together toward Christ. And that requires courage, patience, and our prayers.
Yeah, I think that we have this we have a little bit of a egocentrism, right? Um, that we just think that our own individual needs are the most pressing needs that are before him. And we can't possibly know. We don't have access to all of the information that he has. All that we know is what our news cycles want to share with us. And we also know that our news cycles are full of people who love gotcha moments, right? They love to put people into boxes and force them to answer a question that they may be ill prepared to answer. And he's new to this ascendant role that he has. He's never been put in front of a worldwide audience before, and the level of prudence that is required is far greater than being just a simple head of the Augustan order, or being of the Augustinian order, or even being a bishop in Peru, right? And there is an adage here, once bitten, twice shy. I think that we will see a more chastened Pope. I don't think that we are going to see any of these um, pressers on airplanes anymore. I think that he felt like he was really bitten by that one moment where, in an offhanded comment, without a lot of preparation, something was presented to him that he needed to answer immediately. And although the better part of valor there would have been simply for him to say, I'm not aware of the particular situation right now, I'll release a statement later. He unfortunately walked into a fray where the people asking the question do not have his own personal best interest at heart. Rather, what they have at heart is a desire for conflict. And so once it was created, I mean, because his second answer, when he was pressed about some other situation that was going on in America, he simply said, I prefer not to comment. Right.
That's correct.
And
That's
and
right.
that is when you were talking about prudence as an element. I mean, would we have liked him to comment on that particular thing? Yes. But given the fact that he has many, many worries that are going on in his head, we can't expect him to be 100% up on everything. Remember that the gift of papal infallibility, people think that that means that he knows everything. And really, it doesn't mean anything positive, right? There's no positive attribute that goes to papal infallibility. The church is prevented from preaching heresy from the see of Peter. That is a negative, right? They just won't do something wrong, right? Not ever do we have any assurity that any particular pope who sits in that throne will ever do anything right, right? We just don't have, that's not the gift that our Lord has given us. And one has to trust that a man who is founded in spirituality, founded in Augustinian spirituality, founded in Thomistics, and a deep love of the Eucharist, our hope is that he will be filled with all of the natural and the supernatural virtues, and that we will see him growing in holiness and office, and that as a result of that, his sheep will also grow in health and holiness.
You excellent segue to our next episode topic, which is prayer. And always that was perfect. All right, my friends, till the next time. Fides Abbraccio.